I hate to say it, and I mean I really hate to say it, but there are way too many kids shows that revolve around war. From Steven Universe to She-Ra to Kipo to Star vs. the Forces of Evil to Adventure Time to Voltron to... sorry, I have to take a breath. There's a lot of them.
What's wrong with that, though?
Oh, there's nothing necessarily wrong about having a children's show that revolves around war or physical conflicts. Avatar was a show that, for its time, handled a lot of topics about war pretty well. That's not to say everything about it is perfect. Oh, God, that is not the case. But I mean, it's regarded as a fantastic show for a reason. To a certain extent, I feel like some creators are chasing Avatar-esque themes and storylines without fully understanding what made Avatar great. Avatar was a show that preached about the importance of friendship and trying to understand those different from you, but also about staying true to yourself and practicing mercy. It did this while showing the complexities of war and the devastating horrors of imperialism. I just think that war is one of those situations where you can't neatly resolve everything, and I think presenting it to such young children is maybe not the best. From Steven Universe's bizarre fixation on redeeming the irredeemable, such as the diamonds, to She-Ra's strange and simplified forgiveness towards characters who committed murder and waged acts of terror, to the downright awful ending of Star vs. the Forces of Evil, which just decided that committing genocide against all magical beings, no really folks, that's exactly what they decided, was the best and only way to solve a conflict. My issue with these shows is that it preaches forgiveness and friendship above common sense, which is not what Avatar did. In Avatar, there was this sort of balance in terms of how they treated characters who did bad. Zuko's redemption arc is frequently lauded as one of the best written in not just animated history, but in all of television history. But Zuko had to go through it, y'all. He didn't just decide to start being good one day. He spent a ton of time in the Earth Kingdom laying low with his uncle and learning about the atrocities the Fire Nation committed. He made an effort to be better and to be helpful, and even at the end of the show, he recognizes that his work isn't done. It takes a long time for him to gain the trust of others, and he accepts that. It's also important to note that while Zuko tortuously chased after the other members of his squadron, that he never canically killed anyone. Zuko did bad things, but he hadn't crossed that threshold into big bad territory, whereas his father, Fire Lord Ozai, did. He was a character who caused a lot of trauma and pain for generations, but he wasn't murdered. Again, Avatar preaches the importance of mercy. So in the end, Ozai's bending abilities were removed. He wasn't killed, he has to answer for his crimes, and he can no longer harm others. The best part is that while he's granted mercy, there's no focus or energy expended on redeeming him. Just yeet, off to jail, rot forever. Peace out, bro.
Well, I think that these shows talk about the importance of rehabilitation and not imprisonment. You need to be careful about acting like prison is a good thing.
Sure, that is absolutely not what I said, but I'm gonna move forward with this totally out of left field discussion that you somehow think is relevant to this video. But before we get into that, I just want to say how amazing it is that we extend so much forgiveness to people who literally commit murder and not to the people who, are actually murdered. When people bring that up, I feel like we're edging into this victim-blaming territory. But okay, I'll entertain that point that you made there. Mercy is important. Rehabilitation and redemption are too. And imprisonment is not the only solution to helping someone who caused harm, and maybe isn't always the best thing. But my issue is that in many of these shows, the people who are granted mercy, forgiveness, and rehabilitation probably shouldn't be granted that so easily. And I want to point out that rehabilitation does not mean someone who is dangerous and has killed people is able to walk around freely, which is what happens on a lot of these shows, aside from Kipo, which actually had Hugo kept in a cage and he had to actively work to earn people's trust. In real life, rehabilitation is a two-way street. What I mean by that is that both parties, the needing to be rehabilitated and the rehabilitator, have to work together. To get real for a second, if you're an addict and you want rehab to work, you have to put the effort into it. You can't just show up, invest no work, be uninterested in what everybody else is doing, and expect other people to fix you. And if you're a rehabilitator, you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. You can try, but you'll probably just fail. Oftentimes in these shows, that's not what's portrayed. That's not the reality portrayed. The responsibility falls entirely on the protagonist to rehabilitate someone who tried to kill them and doesn't want to invest any effort in getting better or trying to learn from the error of their ways. They will push these protagonists to the brink, to when they're almost actually dead, or kill their friends and family before actually considering any kind of change. Rather than present giving up or even not helping a total squad as a viable option that would be best for the protagonist's mental and physical health, it's presented as a personal failure for that protagonist. And I think that that's a gross thing to teach kids, to be honest. I get that some of these characters are supposed to be martyrs, such as Steven and Adora, and we explore the bad mental health effects of martyrdom with their stories, but all too often, those discussions get lost in the chaos and noise of the other problems in the series. These shows should really have an emphasis on the fact that you are not responsible for the bad decisions of others. You are not responsible for the harm that someone caused you. The person who hurt you is. No matter if that person has been through some seriously horrible things, they don't get a pass for hurting you. You are not responsible to invest painstaking effort into showing them the error of their ways if they have no interest in it. All too often, that's not how the story goes. Sure, we have the martyrdom as bad messages, but it's usually more along the lines of you deserve happiness rather than an explicit you deserve to set your own boundaries. To be honest, I just want one show where a character maybe just says, nope, not doing it, to someone who has hurt them repeatedly. Just once. You can teach about the importance of kindness and friendships to kids while also talking about the importance of boundaries. It's not that hard, and in fact, you're a children's show. You should be obligated to do that.
Okay, so some of the villains that you're using as examples were horrifically abused, so that doesn't make a lot of sense or seem very fair.
Okay, yes. It is horrible that in a lot of these situations, these villains endured trauma that they did not deserve. But being abused does not give you the right to abuse or hurt others. I will repeat, being abused does not give you the right to abuse or hurt others. That's right, folks. You actually can't just use your own personal trauma to justify abusing or being violent towards others. It is not a get out of jail free card. You have to learn and work to be a better person. Refusing to take responsibility for your actions simply because of your past is awful. Expecting others to forgive or help you when you hurt them is awful.
Here it comes. You can't keep doing this. You can't keep doing shitty things and then feel bad about yourself like that makes it okay. You need to be better.
Catcher basically murdered someone's mom and doesn't have to invest a lot of effort into getting forgiveness or redemption. The diamonds caused insurmountable damage. Queen Moon started an honest-to-God race war, tried to get a mother with a young baby brutally murdered, and pretended like she didn't know what was gonna happen when she asked the homicidal Walmart brand Sailor Moon to get rid of Eclipse. God, what happened to that show? What the f*** actually happened? The issue is that these scenarios are more than a little unrealistic. What's worse is that they seem to teach children that you should grant kindness and forgiveness to everyone, even if they spent years torturing or trying to kill you. Understand where people are coming from, even as they try to yeet you out into space to die. Remember, kids, other people's feelings are more important than your safety. Just, why? Why are we teaching kids that everyone is worthy of forgiveness regardless of what they did? Especially in situations where people invest little to no effort in fixing themselves. Y'all really think that Hordak just deserves to walk away scot-free and live a normal life?
Maybe just let a show be a show. You ever think about that?
Let me think. Oh no. A children's show is supposed to entertain, but also teach. Shows geared for older children are supposed to teach about morality and other life lessons. That's why I'm being so harsh right now. By the time that you're an adult, you should have a better, albeit imperfect, understanding of the difference between fiction and reality. You have also likely developed your own moral compass, and hopefully it's a good one. But as a child, you have not. You are looking to whatever sources are available to you. When you have an impressionable audience, it is so important to get things right. And the biggest problem with these shows' relationships with their villains is that they are teaching kids to not establish boundaries. You should feel scared around someone who killed your mom. You shouldn't just wholeheartedly welcome that person into your squad. It's okay if you think that someone who tried to kill you and your friends shouldn't be, able to walk around in polite society as if nothing happened. It's not that I'm expecting every show to be like Avatar and follow it to a T. That would be stupid and unfair. But really, Steven Universe? The diamonds who waged war and terror for eons are forgiven? They're responsible for killing entire planets, destroying biodiversity, and ending countless lives. But nope, they're just members of the family, folks. Look, they cried about the atrocities they committed and they feel real bad. Aww. I mean, surely we can all agree this is bad, right? These are bad lessons to teach kids, and this is just bad writing. While I love complex, and even sympathetic villains. I'm sort of longing for a time when storytelling was just a little bit more black and white or simplistic. A villain may have a backstory and have their reasons for being who they are, but that doesn't mean they're gonna be forgiven or redeemed. Kipo handled this quite well with its big bad villain Dr. Amelia. Kipo did her best to save her from herself, but you know what? Got. And from what's canon to the show, although Kipo felt bad, ultimately she was able to walk away from that situation like, well, at least I tried and this isn't my fault. As opposed to other protagonists, she knew it wasn't a personal failure on her part. Honestly, I think it's okay to tell stories where people are just bad people and you can't fix them no matter how hard you try, rather than try to present people who committed war crimes as being worthy of redemption. When shows forgive villains, it's usually way too easy, or when shows manage to handle redemption arcs successfully, it may unfortunately end in unnecessary tragedy. I haven't seen a show that's given us solid middle ground for these situations since Avatar. Maybe Adventure Time did in its later seasons with different villains, but I stopped actively watching after Finn's relationship with Flame Princess ended, so I can't speak to that. I guess you could say that Simon was redeemed, but over the history of the show, Simon wasn't a character that really hurt a ton of people. He was annoying, but he didn't cause that much grief and strife in terms of violence. It's all besides the point. The thing with war is that it has a ton of complexities to it that inherently have this gray moral ground. Everything is bad no matter what side you're on, even if one side is doing worse things than the other. You're killing people, you're destroying homes, you're ruining lives, and I just disagree with the idea that, hey, genocidal warlords are good as long as they agree to change. I'm so worried that Owl House, one of my new favorite shows, is gonna fall into that area. If I watch like 3 seasons just to find out that Voldemort is gonna be a good guy, I'm gonna eat my shoe. This shoe right here, yep, I'm gonna eat it. Here's the thing that I think everyone is forgetting. You don't need a children's show to revolve around physical conflict. Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc. and Gravity Falls revolved around solving mysteries. Clarence and Craig of the Creek focus on the wonders of growing up and childhood imagination. When you write a show that doesn't revolve exclusively around physical conflict, you can even write morally gray characters in a balanced way that's easy for kids to process. Grunkle Stan from Gravity Falls is a miserly criminal with selfish tendencies and rage issues, but he hasn't done anything that egregiously awful, at least on screen, when compared to some of the other villains that I've referenced, and ultimately, he's a dude who cares a lot about his family. Kids can also more easily understand the ways in which Grunkle Stan isn't a role model but has the ability to be a good person, and over the course of Gravity Falls' very 2 short seasons, we do in fact watch him become a better person. Maybe not perfect, no one is, but he does his own little arc. If you apply that same logic to the Diamonds, it's messier because they committed far more crimes with much more catastrophic damage. And look, that's not to say that each of the war-centric shows lack lessons to teach their audiences. Steven Universe teaches wonderful lessons about consent. She-Ra teaches about the importance of befriending people who are indifferent to the world's destruction. Star vs. the Forces of Evil teaches, Look, I just kind of hope that we steer away from children's shows about war for a while. At least, I'm gonna do that. Thank you all for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like, and also consider subscribing to the channel. When you subscribe, be sure to hit the notifications bell so you get updates on when I upload future videos. Without further ado, thank you all so much for watching. Bye! I'd like to give a very special shout out and thanks to my patrons, AceWolf741, Deep Dive Dylan, Brian White, Deevil J, Caleb Putnam, Robin Harper, Bob Conway, and Cody Webb.